Obviously, I'm learning on the job as well as at college, so I've now completed halfway through my second year of my HNC. I'm going on to complete my HND, and then I'll be finalising my degree at Grand University. My advice for anyone that wants to get into an apprenticeship is just get involved at careers events, contact companies, and also try and get your work experience, because that's the first thing I did. I got in touch with my now manager Chris, and I said, what can I do to understand what we do as a company? He said, come and do some work experience. And people I met along the way made me realise that obviously for me, ETV is where I wanted to work, and it was just the company, the work they do, I just really enjoyed it.
My favourite part of the apprenticeship is working in a team, because I really like working with my team members, and I think we all work together really well to produce the results and produce good events that run really smoothly. I chose to do an apprenticeship because I like being in the job, and also I like earning money at the same time, and I just think it works really well for me because I'm in the workplace gaining skills that I need in the future. I think it really depends on if you know what you want to do, because I think A-levels give you a good start. If you're not specifically sure what you want to do, it's good to explore different options, and doing my A-levels, that's how I realised I wanted to do events management in the future. So I think if you don't know, it's a good place to start, whereas if you're sure on what you want to do as your career, then it'd be best to start with an apprenticeship. Just get stuck in, really. There's nothing to be nervous about. You'll be put in a really good team, everyone will support you, and it may be a bit nerve-wracking at first because you think you don't know what you're doing, but you will pick it up really quickly, and soon it'll be like you've been doing it forever.
Every Wednesday I come into college and I study, and I'm actually studying what I'm actually practicing the rest of the days of the week. So it gives you a sort of freedom as such. It gives you the work experience where you learn more practical skills to do with the job. At this stage I'm still quite early in my work life, but the contacts I've made there, it's boosted my confidence and my ability to become a great accountant, I guess. Oh no, 100% would have taken this apprenticeship. I think for one, I mean, being paid to study, having the qualification and the study being paid for you, and not having a student debt, I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer for me. Well, I mean, the level 4 course it's a first year degree course, so it's not an easy course. You've got to do a lot of work outside of college as well. I mean, the day release, which I'm giving us, is really, the teachers here, they know what they're doing, and they're really helpful with, supporting you if you need a little bit of extra attention. If you give them an email, they'll send you a bit of extra work, or if you're stuck on any questions, then you can email in, and they'll get back to you quite rapidly.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Colchester Institute and our apprenticeship virtual event. I want to give you a really warm welcome and just thank you for joining us. My name is Amanda Drew and I'm the Director of Apprenticeships here at Colchester Institute. Now, over the next 8 to 10 minutes, I'm going to take you on a very quick tour, a quick journey around apprenticeships. I'm going to give you some information about apprenticeships. And what I'd love to encourage you to do is, if you have any questions, if you could just pop those questions in the chat. What we're actually going to do is have, at the end of this presentation, we're going to just pick up some of those questions so that I can explain things a little bit further for you. Now, that's probably really good for general questions, but if you've got any questions that are very specific to a particular sector or a particular type of sector or apprenticeship, we would just encourage you to just kind of hang on to those questions, because after this event we will be encouraging you to go and book into or go and join one of our Zoom rooms. Now, we have many Zoom rooms and you can go in there and speak to our team, and they'll have lots of information about the different apprenticeships that we offer. And you can go from more than one Zoom room as well. And we're going to be here till about 7 o'clock. So you can spend as long as you like in our Zoom rooms with our team finding out about apprenticeships. So, what is an apprenticeship? Now, apprenticeships allow you to complete what we call an apprenticeship standard. Now, some apprenticeship standards have qualifications within them, and some apprenticeship standards don't. However, an apprenticeship is a way in which you can earn as you learn. The current apprenticeship wage is £4.30 per hour. Now, that seems quite low, but just remember that an employer is investing in you and in giving you skills and helping you to gain a qualification. And of course, this is about your first step onto the career ladder. So even if you're thinking, my goodness, that seems quite a low amount, then I would just encourage you to kind of maybe start there. But many of our employers actually offer much more than the £4.30 per hour. So there's a real variety, anything from £4.30 an hour up to £8-9. So with an apprenticeship, you're in a real job and you are gaining real experience. And as I said before, some apprenticeship standards you will achieve a qualification, but in other apprenticeships, the actual standard itself is the qualification. So that gives you a little bit of information about how the apprenticeship standard is made up. So next we want to talk about, why would you want to choose an apprenticeship? Well, like I said, you're earning a real salary, and it really is a real job. You know, you get paid holidays in there as well. So, you know, different employers offer different holiday times and periods, anything from 4 weeks to 5 weeks to 6 weeks in there also. Now, we mentioned about the hourly rate being £4.30. That's the minimum rate, as I explained previously. Now, you could be working from anything from 16 hours a week to 40 hours a week. And you would spend 80% of your hours, whatever they are, you will spend what we call on the job. So that means you're actually doing the job. You're working and you're learning from colleagues and peers and teammates. And then for the other 20% of the time, you are doing something that we call off-the-job learning. Now, these are still paid hours, but you're being paid to learn away from the immediate pressures of the job. So that could be through coming to the college. You might come to any of our campuses and have some what we call day release. It may be that there are people coming to see you in your place of work and to have some dedicated time with you, or with you and some of your colleagues if there's more than one of you on an apprenticeship. It could even be that some of your off-the-job learning time is actually, it could be at home where you're doing research or study or gathering some portfolio evidence. But what the part that doesn't change is that 80% of the time you are on the job and 20% of the time you are off the job learning, and you get paid for 100% of that time. You also get paid for any holidays that you take as well. So that's equally important, and your off-the-job learning time isn't included in those holiday periods. So what I mean by that is there's not an expectation that if you're having a holiday, you still have to come to college. If you're having a holiday and you've agreed it with your employer and you've agreed it with the college and they've given you approval for that, then you will be able to take that as paid holiday. You'll also gain a variety of transferable skills. Now, this can include communication skills, interpersonal skills, also working as part of a team. So the behaviours and skills that are just developing naturally, problem solving. So it's not just about a qualification, actually it's some of those transferable skills that are in there as well. Now, following on from an apprenticeship, you can actually move now into what we call higher and degree apprenticeships. Now, many of you may be here today and you may be thinking and looking at this as the stepping stone to the start of your career that you're considering or you're thinking of, but it doesn't need to end there. Because we now do higher and degree level apprenticeships, and you can be qualified in just about anything. All sectors now have apprenticeship standards within them. There is currently over 390 apprenticeship standards approved for delivery. And these are in areas such as transport and logistics, construction, the health sector, management. And we're also seeing now that many healthcare professions are now actually becoming qualified. Students are becoming qualified through the apprenticeship route, including degrees. You can become a qualified nurse now as part of an apprenticeship. So now the great thing about higher and degree apprenticeships is that it doesn't cost you a penny, okay? Because actually your employer and the government would pay for that. So none of the training that we're talking about now, whether it's higher or degree apprenticeship, is going to cost you anything. So if you're considering an apprenticeship as a career change and you're thinking, well, do you know what, I'd really like to move into management, for example, and I've done lots of team leading, but I'd love to do a management apprenticeship. As long as you've got a job and you're in a role that can develop over a period of time, then there's no reason why you couldn't be doing a management degree apprenticeship. Even if you have other qualifications now, you can still be considered for an apprenticeship, which is really great news. And as I say, no loans and no debts to you as the apprentice. Now, apprentices are, as I said before, you can have degrees, but they're also for all ages and all abilities, which is why it's so important that you know that actually the levels of the apprenticeships are, really key for you to understand. So just knowing that if you've already done some qualifications, or you've done some training in the past, or maybe you haven't had any of your training formally recognised, you may be thinking, is an apprenticeship for me? So what can you expect? First of all, you can expect some help from us and support in securing an employer if you don't have one already. Now, if you do have an employer, we would encourage you to apply for the apprenticeship through our website, and we would ask you there for the name of your employer. We will then make contact with your employer, and we will speak to your employer about the content of the apprenticeship to make sure that the role that they have for you is going to meet that particular apprenticeship standard. However, if you don't have an employer, we want to be able to support and to help you to secure an employer. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you can do that a little bit later on. We will also ensure that you have a contract of employment in place. You are an employee. You will be treated like an employee. You have the same benefits as an employee. So we just make sure that that is all formalised by way of a contract. So we would be checking that. We will also ask you to carry out what we call an initial assessment. Now, this would happen before you're accepted onto an apprenticeship programme. The reason that we do this is because we like to ensure that our apprenticeship standards that we have available for you, that the programme of learning that we put in place is tailored for you. So that might mean that your learning styles and your learning needs and what you have to achieve based through your experience might be slightly different from others. So it's really important that you actually complete and carry out those initial assessments, because we can't progress your apprenticeship until you have done that. Now, I mentioned before about the paid on and off the job learning that you will go through, and this learning will help you to develop what we call knowledge, skills and behaviours. Now, one of our Colchester Institute team, it may be an assessor or a professional coach or a development coach or even a training advisor, but somebody from Colchester Institute will come and visit you in your place of work. We will come and visit you initially to sign you up, and then we will be visiting you to do what we call progress reviews and to see how you're progressing along with your employer. You will also be asked to do maths and English if you don't already have a GCSE grade of 4 and above, or if you don't have, which was in old language, the GCSE grade C or above. So if you don't have that C or a 4 above in maths and English, then you will have to carry out or complete what we call functional skills. We can support you in that. We will give you the teaching and the learning that you need to get you through that. And you will have achieved by the end of your apprenticeship the level 2 functional skills in maths and English. That is an equivalent to the GCSE grade 4. Some of our apprenticeship standards actually require you to have that GCSE grade 4 or above as part of the entry criteria. If you're concerned or you're worried that you're not going to get that grade, or if you've not got it and you're thinking, but I'd love to do it, then still go into the areas and speak to them. They will help you to understand what your opportunities are and the best ways for you to apply. We also offer functional skills by themselves. So if not having the maths and English becomes a stumbling block, go and speak to our general apprenticeship team. They can talk to you more about how to enrol on the maths and English as a standalone. We will also give you advice and guidance the whole way through your apprenticeship programme. At no point will you be ever left alone to try and work out what your next steps are or what you need to do. And we will always be asking you for regular opportunities to feed back to us. That's how we develop and design our programmes, because we like to listen and to hear the suggestions that you make. So I promised that we'd talk about what to do and how you can secure employment. So the first thing that we would encourage you to do is to go along to our website, Colchester Institute, and just click the apprenticeships. If you then follow the link that says the latest apprenticeship vacancies, you can then go in and you can search by sector. So if you wanted to do something in the early years sector around childcare, you would choose that. If you wanted something in construction, you would choose that. At that point, you will see a list of all of the apprenticeship vacancies that we have currently in those sectors. Now, I would encourage you, if you're not sure what you want to do, just look at them all and be inspired by what you see in front of you. You can then sign in and click the button and you can apply online. Now, your application, your online application, is sent to the employer. So a little bit of advice there. Make sure that when you're completing your application that you consider your spelling and your grammar, because it does form actually part of that selection that the employer makes. And also, if the employer's asked you some specific questions, I'd really think about how you're going to answer those questions, because really what you want to do is present yourself in the best light possible, and the employer's actually giving you the opportunity to do that. So, and then you just sit back and hopefully wait to hear from the employer. Now, we have on our website, we have lots of case studies, video case studies, which are real live apprentices. And we think the best way to really understand and to get to see and hear about the experience that our apprentices have here at Colchester Institute is for you to watch some of our case studies. We have a variety of apprenticeships on there and for you to watch and to listen to. So we'd really encourage you to, after tonight's event, go back to our website, click onto any of our case studies and see what our apprentices have to say about their experience and their journey as an apprentice. Now, I did promise you that if there was any questions, I would ask you those questions, or I'd try to answer them. So I'm just going to bring in Olivia now, and Olivia's been looking after the questions. So Olivia, have we got any questions?
Yes, we've got 2 questions for you, Amanda.
Okay.
So the first one is, can I do a college course at the same time as an apprenticeship?
Really good question. So unfortunately, you have to make a choice. It's one or the other. But this is the advice that we tend to give students that are applying. If you want to do an apprenticeship, but you can't find an employer, we would encourage you to do what we call a joint application. What that means is that you're applying to do our full-time course, but you're also applying to do the apprenticeship course. As September arrives, if you've not been successful in securing employment, you still have your full-time course available. Okay, so you will have your place on the full-time course. Now, we do find that many of our apprentices or students that have applied for the apprenticeship can actually go from being maybe 3 or 4 months into their full-time course, and they apply for an apprenticeship opportunity, and they can then move on to that apprenticeship opportunity. So it's a hard question to answer, although the answer, I guess, is quite simple. You can't really be enrolled on an apprenticeship and a full-time course, but you can start on a full-time course and then transfer over to an apprenticeship. As I say, just do a joint application when you apply through our website.
Perfect. And the second question we have is, what is the typical duration of an apprenticeship?
Another good question. So apprenticeship standards range depending on the standard and the level. Now we have level 2 apprenticeships, level 3. A level 3 is an equivalent to an A level. Level 4, which is equivalent to the first year of your university degree. Level 5, a second year of a degree, and level 6, a full degree. Now, the lower the levels in which you're starting, often you find the lesser the duration. So many of our apprenticeships run from about 13 months up to the longest one is probably about 4 years. So as I say, it really depends on the particular apprenticeship standard that you're applying for. But that's a great question to take with you when you go into your Zoom rooms and speak to the teams, because they'll be able to give you much more information on that. So yeah, so thank you so much for your questions. They were really great questions. And now it's time for you to go and meet our team. Now, we're going to be putting onto the chat some links for you to go and visit the teams. It would be great, first of all, just to make you aware that we hope that you've been able to ask any questions that you wanted to, but if you didn't, we actually have a general apprenticeship Zoom room. So this is where if you're not sure about the type of apprenticeship you want to do, or if you can't get into a room, or if something goes wrong and you're not where you want to be, you can always pop into that Zoom room there, and the team in there will be able to help you. And they're also quite knowledgeable about lots of the different apprenticeship sectors and standards that we offer, so they may be able to give some guidance there. You can also join more than one Zoom room. As I say, our Zoom rooms are going to be open until about 7 o'clock tonight. So you can go from one into the other. You can go and meet the team and let the team inspire you as to why you might want to consider an apprenticeship standard in that area. And as we said before, you can use you've been using the YouTube chat facility to ask us any questions, and I hope we've been able to answer them for you. If you've got any feedback or support you would like to give us on this particular event tonight or this afternoon, we would encourage you to just drop us an email to events@colchester.ac.uk. So, as I say, just to head off to our website, have a look around there. It's been great that you've joined us. Thank you for your questions. Now I just hope that you can go and be inspired by our teams as they help you to consider which apprenticeship standard you might to do as a chosen way for launching the next steps of your career. So thank you very much. Goodbye.